with different aspects of information related to the upcoming tournament. Closest to me is Dr. Stephen McNamara, President of the St. Lucia Tennis Association. Next to him is Ms. Skylar Murray, Tournament Director for the St. Lucia Tennis Association. And next to him is Mr. Sherlon Leo, our Sales Manager for Sagicor Life, Eastern Caribbean Incorporated, St. Lucia Operations. And sitting next to him is Mr. Donald Austin, Chief Executive Officer, Sagicor Life, Eastern Caribbean Inc. And sitting next to Mr. Austin is Mr. Eon Phillips, our Assistant Vice President, Eastern Caribbean Operations, and Branch Manager, St. Lucia, Sagicor Life, Eastern Caribbean Inc. I would also like to acknowledge and welcome Mr. Digby Ambrose, Manager, St. Lucia Tennis Association. I'm happy as well to have my colleagues from Sagicor present, the rest of the National Tennis Administration team, and a representative group of our young tennis athletes here. We welcome you all, and a special welcome to our media representatives. Thank you for your time and for joining us to get the word out about this tournament. Without further ado, let's get the ball rolling, shall we? The first person to speak with you this morning is Dr. Stephen McNamara, President of the St. Lucia Tennis Association. Dr. McNamara's support of tennis in St. Lucia is well documented and established. Even though he manages a busy schedule due to his business commitments, both with Sagicor and as an attorney at law, he has always made certain to be present for the major tournaments of the Tennis Association, such as this one today. Dr. McNamara, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Please join us at the podium.
Thank you very much, Deborah, and good morning to you all. It's been a while, obviously, with the intervention of Mr. COVID and his various delays and postponements that he's caused us to have. But as you can imagine, the St. Lucia Tennis Association, and I think I can speak on behalf of Sagicor here, we are both elated, delighted and pleased to be back on the tournament saddle, so to speak, and to be respectively again hosting and sponsoring this Sagicor International Junior Tennis Tournament. And as a consequence, to be able to jointly invite, host and welcome you all here this morning, including obviously the press of St. Lucia, to this conference for the launch of this very prestigious event, which we had been forced to postpone for the last couple of years, as you would have realized. So on behalf of Sagicor and the St. Lucia Tennis Association, welcome and thank you all for coming. I just want to welcome the youngsters. We have some St. Lucian youngsters here who wouldn't have been too difficult for them to be present. But we also have, and I want to welcome the team from Trinidad, which seems to have arrived, flag waving as usual, have arrived early, and we were therefore delighted to ask them to come along and join us, along with their coach, Mr. Andrew Thornton. Now I know when the Trinis move, they never move without their roti and their rice and peas, so I'm hoping that they've brought some of that up for us so that we can partake maybe during the course of the tournament with them. So ladies and gentlemen, as you know, it is the responsibility of the Tennis Association to provide avenues for our local athletes to receive regional and international exposure. This can only be done with the assistance of private companies like Sagicor. Now, this tournament is in its 37th year. There may not be another tournament in the region, certainly not in St. Lucia, not in the region, and very far afield, that can boast 37 years of history. And this will be the third time that Sagicor is sponsoring the event with the St. Lucia Tennis Association. And we want to thank them again and again and again for so doing, because without this sort of sponsorship, frankly speaking, these tournaments would not exist. The tournament is recognized as an international tournament because we have attracted not only athletes from the Caribbean, but Canada, United States, South and Central America. A little later on, I'll probably give you the full list so that you'll know who you're going to see, and the juniors here can know who they're going to be up against. Providing opportunities for our athletes can be done in many ways, but providing financial assistance for travel expenses to compete, or the association hosts the event, which is much more cost effective. And that's why we like to host these events, because traveling overseas, quite apart from the problems involved in travel these days, it's much more expensive, and therefore it behoves us to have these tournaments in St. Lucia as often as we can, bring everybody here, and this allows our players in St. Lucia to be exposed to people who, in some cases, are better than them, which they need to play against people who are better than them, and in some cases they might teach a thing or two to the players who come to St. Lucia to play against them. Traveling, as I said, to tournaments comes at an exorbitant cost to coaches and parents, but this must be done to improve their rankings. This is why we see the need to host such prestigious events. Our athletes, and by extension our sub-region, benefits tremendously. It is our intention to host at least 2 COTEC events per annum in the not-too-distant future. Speaking of benefits, you will know perhaps of the number of St. Lucian tennis players who have benefited from tournaments that we've held, and this tournament in particular, which exposed them really to the world when we have had it in the past. So people like Stacey Roheman, Karen President, Megan Williams, and we have 3 going off to Springfield University in the USA, Georgia Medrick, Elisa Elliott, and Nathan Elliott, Maya Eugene as well. These folks would all have played in this tournament, would all have progressed, and would all have been snapped up by universities abroad, where they will now go and hopefully enhance their skills and enhance their ability to represent St. Lucia in the years ahead to the benefit of the country. The National Tennis Center coaches hosted high-performance training camps to prepare the junior athletes for this tournament. The categories of the tournament are boys and girls under 12s and under 14s. The St. Lucia team at the recently concluded Team Under 12 Championships in Trinidad placed 3rd overall, and we are anticipating much better results and performance from them, as they have done what is necessary in training for this tournament. In preparation for the tournament, we want, as an association, to express our gratitude to the Minister, the Honourable Kenson Casimir, and the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports for the integral role they have played in preparing the tennis centre for the tournament. As you might imagine, the tennis centre, being where it is, requires a lot of maintenance. Over the pandemic, that was more difficult to do than it might otherwise have been, and therefore we definitely needed to do a number of things at the centre in order that it be in the proper condition to host this tournament and comfortably look after the visitors who are coming here for it. And a lot of that assistance came because the Minister took a particular interest in causing this to be done, and also we had the assistance of the Natural Lotteries Association in providing the funding to bring the centre into good nick for these purposes. In terms of matters that we intend to deal with in the coming year, we have entered into an agreement with the Prime Minister's office and Windjammer to reintroduce an after-schools schools and grassroots program, which should start shortly. We will be engaging with our various tournaments to try and get them back on stream. As you will have appreciated, the pandemic caused a pause in all of these things, so we now have to get all of our helpers and sponsors and others back on board so that we can get back to where we were before. Just in terms of the tournament itself, the opening ceremony will be on Sunday, August the 7th from 5 p.m. We're encouraging all of the public to attend. Its admission is free, so that we'd like to encourage everyone to come along to the opening ceremony, where you'll see all the teams parade and so on. It'll be the usual, not as grand an opening ceremony as you might have seen at the Olympics or at the recent Commonwealth Games, but it'll be a fitting opening ceremony, as it always has been in the past. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. Sagicor, as I've said, is an annual gold sponsor for the third year of the tournament. The age groups for the tournament are under 12s and under 14 players. We have 15 confirmed countries. St. Lucia, obviously, the host. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Bahamas, El Salvador, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts Nevis, Suriname, Mexico, Guyana, Grenada, Martinique, Canada, and the USA. From these countries, we are expecting to have over 60 participants, and the tournament will play off from August 5th to August 11th. The games will begin at 9 a.m. On each of those days, and the tournament director, Sila, and I think ably assisted by Aisha, who basically, these two ladies, Sila is here, Aisha is not, but you will certainly meet her at the center. If it wasn't for these two ladies, there would be no tennis center, I can tell you. The work that they do, never mind that they are helped. The Parents Association is extremely helpful these days in getting involved. Mr. Ambris, who is over here, is managing the center on a voluntary basis to keep it going. But its backbone, Sila and Aisha, and you will all get to meet them, and they will look after you as their own, as they always do for the juniors, both here and abroad when they travel with them. The tournament referee is coming up from Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Chester Dalrymple. He has been here over many, many years. He's probably as familiar with St. Lucia as most of us Lucians, the number of years he's been here running this tournament, so he'll be here again. But importantly to note, we have 9 of our own local officials who will officiate at the tournament. One of the great expenses of the tournament is the bringing in of officials, referees and everything to the tournament, and we had to do that in the days when we didn't have our own. But thanks, I have to say, to the efforts of the association, we have over the years trained officials here in St. Lucia who are St. Lucians, and this allows them to officiate at the proper standard at this tournament, which is a COTEX sponsored and recognized tournament. And these officials, therefore, coming from St. Lucia, allow us to reduce the cost of having to bring, and these days, as you will know, the cost of moving around in the Caribbean is not low. I just wanted you to know too that we have all the COVID-19 protocols in full effect, as we are abiding by the guidelines provided by the local authorities and also guidelines provided by the International Tennis Federation, who provide guidelines for tournaments of this nature. We are also keenly aware of the outbreak of monkeypox, which is threatening these islands. I don't know that we have any of it in St. Lucia at the moment, but we certainly, if that is the case, we would want to keep it that way, and we would certainly want to make sure that we keep that monkey off our backs in terms of this tennis tournament and the tennis center over the next 5 or 6 days, whilst our local players and our guests are assembled there. So we will be observing all the protocols that are in place for that particular disease, and again we are mindful of the updated guidelines from the authorities. So that generally is an overview of the tournament. I couldn't end without thanking the St. Lucia Olympic Committee for allowing us to use these premises to host this press conference. I wanted to thank again the press for being here in substantial numbers, I have to say, we're glad to see. And I also couldn't end without congratulating our very own Julian Alfred, who yesterday won the silver medal at the Commonwealth Games in the women's 100 meters, which was a huge feat for St. Lucia. And I dare say she pushed the Jamaican gold medalist to the end. There was a time in the middle of the race when it actually looked as though she might win it. And so she is going to be a huge credit to athletics in St. Lucia and to the ladies' version of our athletics. So thank you all very much again for coming, and at the end of this there will be a short session for questions and answers, but for the time being that's it from me, and thanks again. Thank you.
Dr. McNamara, for your contribution and for your continued commitment to the development of tennis in St. Lucia. It gives me great pleasure to invite to speak to you at this time my colleague from Sagicor, Mr. Shalon Leo. Shalon holds the position of Sales Manager for Sagicor Life, Eastern Caribbean Inc. in St. Lucia. And his role this morning is to provide a brief overview of Sagicor's involvement in the upcoming tennis tournament and the thought process behind our continued support. Shalon, thank you for coming to speak this morning.
Thank you, Deborah. Mistress of Ceremonies. I want to mess up. Slide it a bit. Okay. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Us here at Sagicor, doing this is what we enjoy doing. We love doing it. We're excited. And I just need to say that before I do anything formal. So, athletes, it's a pleasure for us to be here supporting you, and parents and coaches and everyone. But let me just acknowledge my colleagues here with me today, our partners, Dr. Stephen McNamara, President of St. Lucia Tennis Association, Mr. Donald Austin, Chief Executive Officer, Sagicor Life Eastern Caribbean Inc., Mr. Ian Phillips, Assistant Vice President, Eastern Caribbean Operations and Branch Manager of the St. Lucia Operations, Ms. Siler Murray, Administrator for the St. Lucia Tennis Center, Mr. Digby Ambrose, Manager of St. Lucia Tennis Association, members of the National Tennis Administration team, the media, and of course, to the athletes in the house. Good morning. Good morning. It is my privilege to be here today to represent Sagicor, because our vision, our company's vision, to be a great company committed to improving the lives of the people in the communities in which we operate. And what greater people to support than the young ones? You are the future. You are our backbone. You are our foundation. And Sagicor has been around for 181 years. And it's something that we prided ourselves in doing, supporting the community. And when we have young people like yourselves engaging in sports like this one, organized sports that require your dedication, discipline, your ability to collaborate with so many other people, your parents, your teachers, your coaches, the pressures. Why not support an initiative like that? Because this African adage, Ubuntu, I am as we are, I am as you are. We are what we put out in the community. And so supporting you is nothing that we would not rather do. In 2018, when the team from the Tennis Association approached us to consider sponsoring this event, we gave an unreserved yes. The tournament clearly supports and reinforces our commitment to the development of the Caribbean region, particularly in the areas of youth development and sports. These two areas are ones which we hold near and dear to our hearts, as we recognize the future of the region lies in you. You are not only the greatest resource, but the one with the largest potential. So this investment that we're making in you young people is one we would not trade for anything in the world, because we believe in you, we believe what you have to offer us. We recognize the importance of giving back to the same communities that support us, and I assure you that we will continue to make every effort to do so. Our association with tennis in St. Lucia is one of the most significant partnerships in sports and youth development, both here as well as across the other territories in which we operate, including the Eastern Caribbean and Belize, for which we are directly responsible for. Personally, I like tennis. Serena, Venus Williams, I think we all love these young ladies. And of course, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and the argument of the GOAT, who's the greatest of all time. I'm pretty sure each of you have your own opinions. But today I'm hoping that the new GOAT is in the room today. One of you will probably be the GOAT of tennis, the greatest of all time. And I genuinely believe that one of you could be, already is. The question is, do you believe that? Because Sagicor, the only reason why we have chosen to support an initiative like this is because we believe that there's greatest of all time quality folks around us. Do you believe that, athletes?
Yes.
No, you don't sound like you believe that. Do you guys believe that?
Yes.
All right. There's a quote right there. That's right. Greatest of all time. In the same vein, I want you to understand one thing, students, athletes. Community. Community. As we mentioned in our vision, community. Many times you come to seminars like these and we talk about overcoming failure. You need your family to support you. But because we're in a GOAT environment, the greatest of all time, folks, I want to open your minds to a different concept of community. You see, as you guys practice the discipline that will take you to the top, it's going to get a little lonely. And so it's so important to have the key folks around to support you when times get quiet. You see, as you separate yourselves with state-of-the-art discipline and determination, you're going to realize that not everyone will follow you on that journey. And then you'll see the importance of a good community. People who understand your dedication. People who will understand your sacrifice. Not those who will tell you, what you doing over there? Let's go play, let's go have some fun. I need you not to underestimate your parents. Do not underestimate your teachers, your coaches, and of course your colleagues, your fellow athletes who will get you to be who you're going to practice and play with to get you great. Always aim to be a great team player and to contribute in any situation you're in. We don't want you guys to focus just on winning a tournament. We want you guys to focus on being winners. That anywhere you go, you're going to excel. Make yourselves proud first, your family, your parents, your teachers, your coaches, because we exist in a community. And we believe that as members of the community at Sagicor, if everyone excels, we're going to rub off on our fellow community. And we have a community of excellence, of people striving for greatness. So in closing, I must say that we are proud to be partnering with the St. Lucia Tennis Association for the third installment of this tournament. And of course, as Dr. McNamara mentioned earlier, COVID, paused a little bit, but we're back on track. And as we move forward, I want us to take the lessons we've learned from the stalemate that COVID offered, the resilience that we've learned that has become part of our lives, and use it in our endeavors. Based on the larger than ever registration of over 70 athletes from 15 countries, let me repeat that, 70 athletes, over 70 from 15 countries, These opportunities for competitive tournaments are as important now as they ever were. We are excited to see and support the players the weekend and to recognize the hard work and the dedication of the coaches, referees, and other administrative staff who make the tournament a success, particularly after an enforced, unseen 2-year hiatus. I want you to remember that, guys. We could have easily, call it quits, but just seeing your commitment after this break tells me that we're in for the long haul. So, students, athletes, coaches, colleagues from Sagicor, media, we want to let you know that we're committed to youth development at Sagicor. We want to see you guys be great. We believe that they're greatest of all time people in this room. And so I want you guys to go off with that in mind. Believe that you're the greatest of all time. When you hit the court, when you go to school, as you interact with your parents, your friends, tell yourself, I am the greatest of all time. So in closing, I want you the athletes to repeat after me. I am. Come on, I didn't hear you guys. I am. I am the greatest of all time.
I am the greatest of all time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shalon. I know we share the same sentiments and are exceedingly proud to work with this organization and on this project, which is so supportive of our young people and sporting development. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to you, our media reps, for any questions or points of clarification you may need. Please note that you can ask questions of anyone at our head table. For the purposes of recording, can you please state your name, the media house you represent, before asking your questions?
On regards to the format of the tournament. Is there a top prize, singles, or how is it going to pan out?
At events like these, normally what we focus on for the under 12 category is development. So there is no official regional ranking for our under 12 players, but the under 14 athletes are working towards the regional ranking, which is made up of the Central America and the Caribbean. So points are accumulated based on their positions in the draw and how far they get, and of course awards will be presented at the end of the tournament.
And just for the Sagicor, can you get a figure in regards to the investment that was made into this massive tournament?
Interesting question. The investment is significant. It's in excess of $30,000 that we've invested in the tournament because we believe in the commitment of our young people and we believe in the benefit of our young people across the region.
Any other questions?
Can you tell us when does the tournament officially start? And does the playing actually begin?
So the official signing for the tournament is on Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. and play commences on Saturday from 9 a.m. until the last match, which is on the 4 to 6 p.m.
Adam, the movie from UTV channel 1 to 4. We had a two-year break because of COVID. Most recently, you had some players going to Trinidad, and then before that, you had some youngsters going to Barbados for a under-12 school tournament. I know, the public does not know. Just bring us up to speed as to some of the young men and women, or boys and girls, that will be representing the nation, so the public now can come out there and support them.
Of course, if you want to recognize them, they are in the room with us now. From the VL Tennis Academy, We had Lil Serial, who won the tournament in Barbados, the under-12 category. From the Aces Academy, we had Danny Estava, who was the finalist. So we had 2 St. Lucians in the final. And the duo paired up in doubles, and they lost to a Trinidadian team, sorry. It was Chris, I remember, and Oliver. Zach, thank you. So they came second in the doubles. In the girls category, we had one girl who went across to Barbados, Amia Jamari, she's with us now. She was the finalist in the singles. And she partnered with Trinidadian player Abba Campbell Smith, and they won the doubles category. And the recently concluded under 12 team qualifier in Trinidad, we had a team of 3 boys and 3 girls, captained by Coach Ron Blanchard and Aisha Emil. Both teams came in 3rd. We did not qualify, but the athletes were a Lil Serial, Denny Estava, and Sanji Lake. Our girls were Kahenia Mukora, Jalen Henry, and Amia Jamari. And we are proud to say that all of the athletes who played this tournament will be joining us in St. Lucia for the Sagicor Junior International.
Skylar, can you tell us how have the children been readying themselves for the tournament? What have you seen in the time leading up to the tournament?
Well, I can speak for the teams that train at the National Tennis Center. A lot of the coaches, what we did, we had high performance training camps for our athletes. I know for sure VL Academy, Coach Ron, it says we have been preparing them on and off the court. We looked at, we took a holistic approach for the camp where we focused on mental conditioning for our athletes, physical conditioning, tactical and technical training, so that we can speak to that for sure, and we know that they are ready.
And what about the interest of the children? Have you seen more of an excitement since the pandemic? What have you seen in terms of their excitement around this tournament?
The excitement has always been there, but because of the restrictions, we weren't able to host. But we are proud that we're happy that Sagicor is on board. But when it comes to the athletes, they are ready. Some of the athletes who are not qualified to play even want to play because this tournament is based on your age. So I know for sure everyone is ready and ready to compete.
And finally, what can you tell us about Sunday's opening ceremony? You want everybody to attend.
So the opening ceremony is the actual launch of the tournament, where the athletes, we want to see everyone on court, center court for the match pass. Of course, the media will be there, the sponsors, and of course we will be doing some fun activities that Sagicor is preparing for them. So we would want everyone to attend.
And anything from our key sponsor, Sagicor?
Certainly, as Sherlyn said earlier, we are very happy to be part of this tournament. You only have to look around the room at the faces and get something, that transitions into our team as well. So we do expect all of our team members and certainly the whole island to come, as many people as possible, to support the St. Lucia team, but all the teams from around the region really. We consider sports as a critical element in the development of any nation. And interestingly enough, I was watching a quick documentary on Nelson Mandela this morning and showing how he used sports to really bring South Africa back together, and he was showing the importance of sports in the development of any nation. So we take it to heart, and we want to continue to contribute, so you can expect us to continue to support this tournament going forward into the future. And certainly we are looking forward to being part and coming up and supporting the kids as well. So thanks for everyone for coming this morning. Good to see you here. And certainly we are much looking forward to some of the plays as well. So I'm hoping to get a fixture so I can see that I can turn and watch the team play. But thank you very much.
Just a quick word from Mr. Ambrose.
Mr. President, you know it's crunch time, right? In terms of dollars and cents. Are you satisfied with $20,000 from Sagicor? Or you believe the parliament costs a lot more?
You know the old saying? You know the old saying? Beggars can't be choosers. But that has never been the problem with Sagicor. They have always been forthcoming in the manner that matches the requirements of the occasion. And so we have no complaints whatsoever about the level of sponsorship that they have provided and all of the other support that they provide. So no, we are completely at one with what is going on sponsorship-wise.
But quickly, are you optimistic that at least a boy or a girl will come out topping this tournament?
You mean a solution? Well, judging by what went on in Barbados, I have to say yes. You know, there was obviously a little slump in Trinidad, but that's why we brought the Trinis up here so we can re-sort them out. So we have them here. And yes, I mean, you know, everything is possible. And because of what happened in Barbados, I'll be very frank with you, which was unexpected, and I suspect unexpected by the other teams that were there, the manner in which these St. Lucian juniors performed in Barbados means that there's no country coming here that can discount them in this tournament on their home soil.
Thank you for your questions. So at this time, I would like to invite Mr. D.B. Ambrose to the podium to share a few words with us.
Protocol already established. My observation is that we've had an awful lot of support in the past from Sagicor, and we were very, what should I say, they weren't overplaying anything. In fact, they have put more than $20,000 into this and some other fringes which maybe were not included in the cost. But having said that, I want to follow up on the youth and the opportunities. It's maybe 2 weeks. We have actually signed up for the world tennis numbers, and what that is. It is a rating as against a ranking, and any tournament that is played and in which our athletes participate, they will be given points, and if they travel to some other place, maybe just for recreation or for another tournament, these ratings will give an indication of who they can play with and in that particular group and category. So I think it's important that I say this so that in due course parents will understand that there's a further commitment to have their children always prepared to the level that is required, and it's by giving them opportunity. It's actually friendly competition when we have these match play, etc. And when they travel, they can also enjoy playing with other people at their level. So that is one thing at least I want to say here today, where St. Lucia is.
Thank you so much, Mr. Digby, and thank you all for your questions as well. We really appreciated the opportunity to ensure that you have all of the information necessary to share this story. And I know I speak for all of us here today when I say that we are all looking forward to this event, to see the children from all over the world compete and enjoy themselves in St. Lucia after such a long time, thanks to Mr. COVID, as Mr. McNamara so called it. Thank you again for attending, and from the St. Lucia Tennis Association and from Sagicor, I do hope we will see each and every one of you at the opening ceremony on Sunday at 5 p.m. and that you will come by over the competition days from Saturday to Thursday next week to witness some of the matches. To our media representatives, please note that every evening we will be sending the match scores from the day and the next day's fixtures for you. So please make sure and leave your email address and a WhatsApp contact with us. Additionally, we will also be emailing all this information to you via an electronic media kit. So it will be in your email by the time you all get to your office. And before we close, I'd like to offer a special thank you to the team at the St. Lucia Olympic Committee office who graciously allowed us to utilize this space for our event this morning. We appreciate your support in this regard. Thank you so much to each and every one of you present. Today could not have been possible without you. And do have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks again.
Gentlemen, you all right?
Yeah, good.
Everything you need? Sitting down here? Right there.